I'm Cheryl Waters. You've got it tuned to KEXP, listener-powered radio at 90.3 FM in Seattle. You can find us online, streaming around the world at kexp.org. And today, streaming live video for an in-studio that I didn't think would ever happen, and I couldn't be more excited about. Failure is live in the KEXP studios. Welcome, guys.
Thank you.
So excited that you're here. I can't believe this day has finally come. And no pressure, but you want to start us off with a couple of songs?
No problem.
Failure live here in the KEXP studios, streaming live video at KEXP.org. Ken, Greg, and Kelly, it's so great to have you here. A brand new album, The Heart is a Monster, and it's so amazing to hear new music from this band after so long. Thank you so much for coming in today. You got another track?
Sure. How about an old one?
All right.
Good? Mm-hmm.
Oh, that sounds so good. Failure live here in the KEXP studios, playing at the Showbox tonight here in Seattle, tomorrow at the Wonder Ballroom in Portland, Oregon. Thank you again so much for making time for us today. We are so excited to have you here.
Our pleasure.
I've been a DJ at this station since 1994, and I remember when Magnified came into the station, and that's when I discovered the band, and then I went back and found Comfort, and such a huge fan. Then, of course, Fantastic Planet, which we just played a song from, came after that. And then about a year later, you guys called it a day, and after all these years passed, I never thought that I'd get to hear you play again, have a record out, and it was so exciting to hear that you were doing a live show early last year. And I'm just curious, after all these years, how did that come about?
It was just kind of a slow evolution to Greg and me becoming friends again and getting to kind of know each other again. We both had our first kids within 6 months of each other. That was definitely a reason that we started hanging out more together, and then we just started talking about it, and one thing led to another, and we ended up in the studio kind of writing some songs, and here we are now with the whole album.
When you announced that show early last year, I heard it sold out in minutes. I mean, some people say it sold out in seconds. That had to feel incredible. I mean, how did that feel for you?
It definitely felt different. Felt different than the 90s, because that definitely wasn't really happening. I mean, we had a following back then, but the level of appreciation of what we did in the 90s with Fantastic Planet, and also for the new album, has just been on a whole nother level for us now. So we're very grateful.
I imagine that some people weren't sure if that was just going to be one show, so they were coming from all over the country to see you perform then, and probably people were singing along to every word, and I'm wondering if a lot of people that hadn't even seen you before were singing those songs. What kind of an audience did you see at that show, and have you been seeing coming out to these shows?
I think the thing we noticed the most was that there was a large contingent of people in their 20s who wouldn't have, maybe just been born when we broke up in the 90s. So that's one of the reasons I think we took what we had was sort of a group of new songs, maybe 4 or 5 songs, and we decided to actually go ahead and make a new album because we realized there was kind of an appetite there in this newer, younger audience.
When you played that first show, did you know what was going to come? Did you just take it as it came and see how it felt, and everything's just kind of been coming as a result of that? Or did you think, we're going to make a new record and go on tour?
I think we thought we would just come out with an EP at the point of that El Rey show, because we were just, kind of dipping our toe in the water. We didn't really want to commit, and it's a, major endeavor to do something like this. But after that show, I think we were like, you know what? We're an album band, and that's what all of our favorite bands were, album bands, and so it seemed kind of silly to not go all the way with it.
You absolutely are an album band, and each one of your records has been very different, and there's always a thread going through there. It's a failure record, but you absolutely just picked right up where Fantastic Planet left off while going in a new direction, and I'm wondering what it felt like to be in the studio making these songs again. Did you do it in sort of the same way that you made your last record, which was almost 20 years ago?
Yeah, we actually purposely did the same kind of writing recording technique, which is, I think, different than most bands. We write in the studio, and we write a song and record it all in one go, all the way to the end, and before moving on to the next song, which is kind of goes against the industry standard format of like writing a song, demoing it, running it through your A&R team and your producers, and but it worked for us on Fantastic Planet, and so we did that on this record. I think the only difference is instead of renting a house and moving into it and living there like a kind of a frat house, we're all married now, so we just rented a studio for 6 months and went in there kind of 10 hours a day or so.
When you talk about the process, as I've said, I'm a longtime fan, and I actually remember reading about the making of Fantastic Planet when you did make it. And I do hear about bands sometimes saying they do a song at a time and they'll go in and do a song a day. But I remember hearing that you say you did the songs one at a time, but not a song a day, like 2 weeks for each song. You really labor over them. That's the same for this record?
I don't know what the average would be. It kind of depends on the song. Like the more layered songs, like on the new record, like maybe I Can See Houses, definitely 2 weeks plus, maybe 3 for that.
But in a lot of cases, that's including the writing.
Yeah.
That's not just the recording. That sounds very fast to me.
Definitely not a song a day.
No, not a song a day. It's like the talking about the song lasts maybe a day or two.
I love it. Ken, you've been a producer. You've all been very busy over these years doing very cool things. Greg, we talked about you being here in 2004 with Autolux, a band we love and have been playing all these years. And Ken, you've done a lot of producing, so obviously you're up to date on all of the equipment and advances that have been made in production equipment. But I'm wondering how different the process was making this record. Did it make any difference that there's new tools of the trade, as you might say?
Not really, because of the way we work, which is one song at a time, and we kind of and we talk about things. And I would say the only thing it did is maybe over the course of 6 months, if you're working on tape, which is what we were working on back in the day, believe it or not, rewinding and fast forwarding takes up a lot of the time when you go for that long. So with computers, you don't have to do that anymore. So I would say it probably took off maybe 2 or 3 weeks of time, just because you can work faster. But in terms of the editorial stuff that you can do with the computer, we did a little bit of that, but it was more kind of like, okay, let's lay down a track and play it all the way through.
The new album, The Heart is a Monster, amazing. It's so exciting to have Failure live in studio here at KEXP. We're streaming this live on video at kexp.org. And again, longtime fans, and you know, there's a lot of different definitions of success, and you have had a lot of longtime fans. Now you're gaining new fans, and you know, record companies have different ideas of success. To me, you have always had very intelligent and wonderful songs. I think that is a sign of success that you've had since your very first record. But now that you're playing again, what does success mean to you now? What are you wanting to have come from this?
That's a good question. I've already got it. Yeah.
Me too, Kellii. Kelly's sitting at the drums and pointing at his kid, and he's a happy man.
I mean, the shows that we're playing right now, we're mixing in the new songs and the old songs together, and it's just like the fans are still singing all the words, even to the new songs. So it's that part of the shows, I would say, are the most gratifying and kind of redemptive experience that I've ever had as a musician. These Failure shows.
That's wonderful. Well, it's so great to see you performing live again. Again, the new album, The Heart is a Monster, is a monster. And thank you so much for coming in. And you've got a couple more songs for us. It's Failure live on KEXP. live in the KEXP studios with Failure and streaming live video today at KEXP.org. That was from the new album, The Heart is a Monster. They play tonight at the Showbox here in Seattle, and tomorrow night they'll be at the Wonder Ballroom in Portland. So great to see you guys on tour again and still changing up instruments during shows.
Oh, yeah. The bass and the guitar are always switching. Never know. Okay. That's good.
Say hello to the road's topography. It holds quite a lot of interest with your face down on it. And say hello to the shrinking in your head. You can't see it, but you know it's there, so don't neglect it. 'Cause I'm taking her home with me, all dressed in white, and she's got everything I need. Pharmacy keys, and she's falling hard for me. I can see it in her eyes, and she acts just like a nurse with all the other guys. Say hello to all the apples on the ground. They were once in your eyes, but you sneezed them out while sleeping. And say hello to everything you've left behind. It's even more a part of your life now that you can't touch it. 'Cause I'm taking her home with me, all dressed in white, and she's got everything I need. Some pills in a little cup, and she's falling hard for me. Can see it in her eyes. She acts just like a nurse sympathy.
The Nurse Who Loved Me from Fantastic Planet, the 1996 album From Failure, sounding amazing here in the studio today. And I'm sure tonight at the Showbox here in Seattle, you don't want to miss this band live. Thank you so much. So great to have you here.
Thank you.
The Heart is a Monster is the brand new release. Highly recommended here on KEXP Seattle. Oh my God. Discover new music at listener-powered KEXP.org.